ready to rethink everything you thought you knew about Adam and Eve.
Oh, yeah?
Our deep dive today takes us into the Urantia book, and honestly, it's a wild ride through their cosmic perspective on the whole Adam and Eve story. Forget what you think you know.
Yeah, it's one of those things that really kind of makes you re-examine some assumptions.
Yeah.
We're not talking about a simple, Sunday school creation myth here.
Right.
This is Urantia Book puts Adam and Eve in this huge, interconnected cosmos.
Yeah.
And they're real beings sent on a mission to Earth.
Okay, so let's unpack that a bit. We're in paper 74, Adam and Eve.
Right?
And one of the most striking things right off the bat is that they weren't the first humans, at all.
Yeah, no, totally. Urantia Books, flip the script.
Yeah.
Adam and Eve show up, and there are already people here, early humans. And it's 37,848 years ago.
So specific.
Right. It's not just, a long time ago.
Hey.
No, 37,848 years ago.
I like it.
Their whole deal is to boost our evolution.
They're like cosmic mentors
To
guide us to some higher level.
Yeah, to fulfill that potential that maybe, wasn't quite there yet.
Okay, highly skilled mentors, though, right?
Oh, for sure.
Because the book mentions they were chosen volunteers from a place called Jerusalem. What is Jerusalem?
Yeah.
Some advanced being university in the cosmos.
Kind of, right. You could think of it that way. It's a sphere similar to Earth, but way more advanced.
Okay.
Where beings have evolved beyond, anything we can really get our heads around right now. And they're the best of the best, right? These are just some random folks. We're talking geneticists, educators, the top tier, ready to help humanity out.
Did they know what they were getting into, though?
That's the thing, right?
Because Urantia book mentions that Earth has had a bit of a rough past.
Oh, yeah.
And not just we had a rough Tuesday. I mean, pre-Adam and Eve, things weren't great.
No, not at all. We're talking about a full-on rebellion led by this former planetary leader, Caligastia.
What a name.
I know, right? It's a whole other story. But basically, picture a cosmic uprising that left Earth kind of messed up, And Adam and Eve, they knew about this. They were briefed before they signed up.
That takes guts, right?
Oh, yeah.
To sign up and be like, yeah, we're going to go uplift this species.
Especially one recovering from, a cosmic rebellion.
Exactly. Still reeling.
Still feeling the effects. Absolutely.
And that makes you think, what impact did that rebellion have, right?
Right.
On those early humans, how did they even view these newcomers after that?
That is the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the book hints at this, this leftover spiritual confusion,
Yeah.
This lingering influence of Caligastia, even though he was gone. So imagine trying to introduce these advanced concepts to a society that's still dealing with the trauma of that.
Oh, talk about a hostile work environment, right?
Talk about an uphill battle.
So when they show up, who's there to greet them? Do they have any allies on the ground?
Well, the book mentions these two figures, Van and Amadon.
Okay.
They're vital to the story.
All right.
Because they represent this lineage of humans who held on to knowledge, culture, all that from a previous era. They kept the lights on during those dark times.
So they're like the keepers of the flame.
Yes, exactly. They held down the fort, waiting for some backup.
Wow. But even with their help, you have to imagine Adam and Eve still had their work cut out for them.
Oh, absolutely. The book talks about this sense of isolation, being cut off, no way to contact home, no guarantees of more help. And to make matters worse, Adam's presence ruffled some feathers.
Let me guess, they thought he was a god.
Bingo. His knowledge, how he looked, people were ready to worship him. But Adam, he shuts that down quickly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like, hold on. There's only one being worthy of worship, the Universal Father.
Yeah.
That's their term for the big guy, the supreme being.
Okay, so he's like, I'm not a god, but...
Right. He sets the record straight.
This is the one you should be paying attention to. But what about the mission, though? Did he get that world government going?
He tried.
Okay.
Really did. The Urantia book gets into the nitty-gritty of him trying to create this unified global society, promoting trade, encouraging arts and sciences, setting up these centers of civilization outside the Garden of Eden.
Oh, wow. It's like watching the building blocks of civilization getting stacked.
Exactly, step by step.
Was there pushback, though?
Oh, tons. Remember Caligastia?
Oh, right.
Yeah, his energy, even in exile, it's like this disruptive force messing with their plans. And the book suggests that this resistance, along with some choices Adam and Eve made, it throws a wrench in the whole mission's success.
It's like they're trying to build utopia, right?
Yeah.
But with this, murmur of dissent and rebellion in the background.
Always working.
Yeah, no wonder it got complicated.
Yeah.
But in the middle of all this cosmic drama, they're also starting a family, right? What's the Urantia book say about life inside the garden?
It's really interesting, actually.
Okay.
There were these intriguing glimpses into their day-to-day life.
Yeah.
And for one thing, they had a huge family.
Okay.
Over 1,000 children, the book says.
Wait, over 1,000. That's not a family. That's like a small city.
I know, right. But it wasn't seen as unusual. See, the Urantia book suggests that Adam and Eve and their descendants, they were incredibly long-lived,
Oh.
like way beyond our lifespans today. And this huge family, it was all part of the plan.
Right.
It was meant to, like, spread those advanced genes and teachings, you know?
So they're jump-starting evolution
Exactly.
on a genetic and social level.
On every level. It's fascinating.
But what did their daily life actually look like, though?
Right.
Did they have, like, family dinners with 1,000 kids?
Okay, so picture this. The book says they didn't cook their food.
Really?
Yeah. Everything fresh, right from the garden, fruits, vegetables, nuts, the whole 9 yards, but nothing cooked, no processing.
So, like, a raw vegan utopia.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
A far cry from the typical image, right,
Yeah.
of Adam and Eve.
Yeah, for sure. Any other, like, surprising details about life there?
Oh, yeah. It was a very advanced society, very focused on, like, education, self-improvement. Their kids, they were schooled in all sorts of things, science, art, ethics. The Garden of Eden was meant to be a model for the whole planet, this place of knowledge, cooperation.
So it's not just a physical garden, but like a center of learning, a cosmic university?
Exactly. You got it.
And speaking of knowledge, there's this term, pure line descendants. What's that about?
Right. So the Urantia book, it differentiates between Adam and Eve's kids, their direct descendants, and the native human population.
Sure.
Their kids, at least at first, they're considered a distinct lineage, right? Unique genetics, and that gave them some advantages. Longer lives, higher consciousness.
It's like they're almost a different species at that point.
In a way. But it ties back into the mission. They're supposed to gradually uplift the existing humans. Intermarriage, sharing their knowledge.
Like a planet-scale social experiment.
Exactly. But even with the best of intentions, things don't go quite as planned, right? We have to talk about the fall. That's the turning point.
Yeah, the big one.
The Urantia book's take on this is wildly different, though. Forget the talking snake, the forbidden fruit.
Okay, so what is it then?
It boils down to choices, Adam and Eve's choices.
Okay.
Impatience, not fully grasping the magnitude of what they were doing. The book calls it a default, which I always found interesting.
Default, that sounds kind of like technical almost. What does that even mean in this context?
Right. It's like their actions tripped some cosmic failsafe, you know. It changed everything, the mission, human history. But they weren't being punished, not by a vengeful god or anything like that. It's more like natural consequences, you know.
So no divine retribution?
Not quite.
Okay.
More like cosmic cause and effect.
Okay, so they deviated from the plan and there were consequences.
Precisely.
Makes you wonder, what if they hadn't? What if they'd stayed the course? Would things be completely different now?
It's a question the book seems to ask, you know? Like, it's dangling that possibility. Their default, it had a huge impact.
Yeah.
It delayed things, their vision for humanity.
Right.
But it wasn't a complete failure either.
Okay, so it's not all doom and gloom.
Not at all.
Okay. So the mission went off script, but they still left a mark. Speaking of which, one thing that struck me, the Urantia book really goes after those old creation myths, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Head on.
It's like it's setting the record straight.
It's like, hold on, let's rewind and look at this again.
Exactly. Like the 6 days of creation.
Right.
Urantia book is basically like, that wasn't literal.
No, it's not 6 literal days. It's a misunderstanding of the 6 days Adam and Eve spent, you know, getting to know the garden, mapping it out, preparing.
So it's like a game of cosmic telephone.
Totally. The message got distorted.
Totally. And Eve being made from Adam's rib.
Ah, yes.
Does it address that one?
Oh, yeah. And again, completely different perspective. Not a literal rib. It suggests it's from misunderstanding earlier celestial events.
Okay.
Maybe connected to those beings who were there even before Adam and Eve, helping to set things up on Earth.
So like pieces of a bigger puzzle.
Exactly. But over time, the picture got scrambled.
It's wild how these stories, they get told and retold.
Oh, I know, right?
And they take on a life of their own.
It's like a game of telephone, but on a cosmic scale.
Totally. And the Urantia book's perspective, it's like, wait, there's a deeper meaning here.
Absolutely. There's a richness, a context we often miss.
We get so caught up in the literal
Right, the surface level.
that we forget to look for the cosmic connections.
Exactly. And with the Urantia book, it's like, boom, this new lens on history.
Right.
And suddenly we're part of this grand cosmic drama.
And Adam and Eve's story, it takes on a whole new meaning. Right?
Completely. It's not just about where do we come from or don't disobey.
Yeah.
It becomes about this struggle for growth,
Right.
the potential of humanity,
Yeah.
even with all the setbacks.
So it's a message of hope?
Ultimately, yeah, I think so. It's
Yeah.
saying, hey, we're not defined by our past mistakes.
Okay.
We're defined by what we learn, how we evolve.
We have that capacity.
Exactly.
We're meant to keep moving, keep growing.
And the Urantia book, it acknowledges those consequences, don't get me wrong, but it's one chapter
Right.
in this much bigger story.
Why?
A saga, really, and we're still writing it.
And that makes me think, if their whole mission was to help us evolve, are we still on that journey? Like right now?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Urantia book seems to think so.
Yeah.
Like, it's in our DNA.
It's part of us.
It's woven into who we are, that potential.
So whether we realize it or not.
We're part of this cosmic experiment.
And that's, I don't know, exciting. A little daunting.
A bit of both.
Right.
But the Urantia book, it invites us to think about that. Our place in all of this.
Okay.
To recognize we're not just isolated beings.
Right.
We're interconnected, part of this web of creation. And every day we choose,
correct choices.
do we align with progress, with evolution, or
something else.
Exactly.
It's a call to action then.
There's the way, yeah.
To step into that potential.
Own it.
To be better, do better.
And remember, we're not alone in this,
Okay.
We have each other, the wisdom of those who came before us, and according to the Urantia book, a whole universe cheering us on.
It's like a cosmic support system.
Right. Rooting for us to succeed.
Wow. That's pretty amazing when you put it that way.
It's a powerful thought.
It really is.
And I think ultimately, that's what the story of Adam and Eve in this cosmic sense boils down to.
Okay.
It's a story about us, humanity.
Yeah.
Our endless capacity for growth, for change.
It's just a story of transformation.
Exactly. And even when things get messy, when we stumble, make mistakes.
Right, because we do.
We always have that choice. To choose a better path.
A brighter one.
To build a world that's more just, compassionate, enlightened. That's what it's all about, really.
Wow. Well, on that note, I think we've done our deep dive.
I think so. Covered a lot of ground.
The Urantia book's perspective on Adam and Eve, it's quite the journey.
It really is.
Makes you think. It challenges those assumptions, those old stories.
It's all about digging deeper.
And it reminds us that these narratives, they're not static.
They're dynamic, just like humanity.
Always evolving, just like us. So until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those cosmic perspectives coming.